faculty, students, friends. I am happy to be here this morning. I guess you are happy too. In 2022 July, or was it 30th June, we had an election in this faculty and I was elected as the dean. So 31st July will be the end of my second year. Now, we've put several things in place to run the faculty. What happened was that at the time that they were doing the terrazzo on the ground floor, we spoke with the contractor to help us do the polish this room, because we had agreed at a board meeting that we're not going to use the carpet again, that we're going to use the terrazzo, so we needed to polish it. The man agreed to do it for us, so we moved out all the furniture in this room. Unfortunately, he didn't do it for us. So at a point in time, we had to go in for a private contractor to come and do it for us. We paid him, and then he polished this place. So we had to refurbish it. We needed to get a table, and then the chairs, and then curtains, and other things. We didn't get it at the time we wanted, but at long last we are here. So today we are here to reopen this place for use by the faculty. And that is why we've invited you here. But we thought that we wouldn't just do that, but also get some presentations for us to understand things about the system, about the university as colleagues. So we decided that today we would invite Professor Kuupole to come and do a presentation for us. After that, we also have an interaction with the dean, and then we have some drinks. And then tomorrow, which is the second day, we will have presentations on budgeting and procurement. These are critical issues that every colleague should be able to at least have a working knowledge of. So we have a 2-day program today and tomorrow. And of course, we are doing this program because at the appropriate time, we will come to that. When we were campaigning, I did this flyer as a kind of vision and mission statement. So I listed some items, 14 of them. And if you look at item 11, we said that we are going to organize get-together for the purpose of ensuring teamwork and unity in the faculty, and then assess the progress of our faculty. And we're going to do that at the end of every year. Unfortunately, because of the polishing of this place, we couldn't do it at the end of the first year. The second year hasn't ended yet, so perhaps you can excuse us for that. So today, it is because of this promise that from time to time we'll be assessing our work in the faculty that we are here today. We are here to take stock of what we've been able to do so far, and then ask questions and suggestions from colleagues. What can we do for the improvement of the function of this faculty? Yes, when you are elected as the dean, you are only affairs among equals. In Latin, they will say primus inter pares. It's colleagues who put you there. The work is not for yourself. And so you need the input of everybody to be able to work and function well. And so we are here today to undertake this activity so that we can assess ourselves, the ups and downs, those things we've not been able to do well, how can we improve upon them? And that's the main reason we are here today. But on the program, if you look at what we have there, you realize that we're supposed to have the dean's interaction first, followed by the presentation. But Professor Kuupole has an appointment somewhere at 1 o'clock, Prof, right? Okay. So we agreed that he will do the presentation first, and then we take it out from there. On that score, I welcome you all to this program. I hope that we have a fruitful and successful program today, so that at the end of the day, everybody would have learned something out of it. Thank you so much. At this point, I give room to the MC to take over. Thank you very much.
So I think I will now call on Miss Mercy, Gilbert, and Gideon to give us some musical interlude. we shall read it better for him. Thank you very much. We'll now invite the Vice Dean, Professor Koda, to introduce the presenter to us.
C'est une formalité à respecter. Yeah. It's possible. Professor Dean, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, it is a privilege for me to be called upon to introduce a presenter for this morning. We are dealing with a man who came here from a very long distance and decided to make the distance his height, going through the processes of socialization, indoctrination, in what I refer to as a cult, the cult of education. He came here as a student, and he ended as the first administrator of this institution. And that tells us the road he has traveled. At a point in time, he was an ordinary lecturer in the department that trains him as a student, and rose through the rank, became a professor, head of that department, vice dean of this faculty, dean for 9 years, moved up to the office of pro-vice chancellor of this university, and later ended as a vice chancellor. He served his term very well for this institution and sold this institution to the world through various programs that open up UCC for internationalization. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me to introduce to you Professor D.D Kuupole as our presenter. Prof, your audience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my boss, Professor Kofi Kodamauloi. You know, the joy of having your son becoming your boss, you cannot imagine that, you know. And I'm proud to father Professor Mauloi. Yes. He was in the wilderness. We brought him home, and we have not regretted. Yes. Thank you very much for keeping me in the department. Mr. Dean, what else can I say? You have a very funny way of twisting people and getting them to work, and that's good. That's very good. The Dean and I also have a very brief relationship in terms of academic work, and I'm happy to continue to be serving him, you know, with all humility. So, and all the colleagues here present, I cannot mention individually what everyone did for me, whether as a student, as a worker. Let me borrow my head of department's words, ordinary lecturer, or as an administrator. Yes. But I appreciate everybody here. So if your name is not mentioned, consider yourself acknowledged. Because this is a faculty, let me say, that used to be very vibrant. It was the most vibrant in this institution in terms of academic work. It still is, but the levels have kind of gone down. So it was with great pleasure to answer the Dean's call when he said, I should make time to come and share my thoughts on 3 areas with you. Unfortunately, the room is very small. It cannot contain everybody, but at least those who are here, when we interact, you can share with others. And by this, I'm also encouraging you to participate actively in academic forums such as this. Because it is at such forum that you learn new knowledges, you share, and you network. So thank you very much, Mr. Dean, and all those who are kind enough to invite me. Otherwise, I'll be in my one corner waiting for tramol. All right. I have been asked to speak on 3 areas. One is about the roles and rights. That is the rights and responsibilities of heads of department and senior academic members. Unfortunately, I have problem with but I'll try. You know, I may be sharing some of these things from my experience. Oh, there's one. You see now. you don't see immediately the problem in your backyard. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Prof. So you'll acknowledge that there are numerous rights and roles or responsibilities that a head of department should assume or a senior academic member should assume. And all these rights and responsibilities are geared towards effective or good governance, effective or good academic work, and what have you, academic leadership, and overall the development of the institution, and for that matter, the development of the department. You know, let's go on. So, who is controlling? Right, we go to the next. Yes. So, before I get to the rights, roles, or responsibilities of an HOD, I would like to just share a few ideas on the qualities. Who qualifies to be a head of department? Who should head the institution or the department? And I think, number one, you should be knowledgeable and compliant. Knowledgeable about the institution itself. You know, the institution that, or the department that you are going to lead. Do you have enough knowledge about that department? Do you know the history of that department? Otherwise, you have to start learning. And this should go for anybody sitting around this table, because we are all potential heads of department. I never knew I would be head of department of French one day. I never knew I was going to be dean of this faculty. I never knew I was going to be pro-vice chancellor or vice chancellor. But it was the Lord that took me through. So you can become somebody in this institution. So you need to know the policies, the regulations, the strategic plan, the act, the statute, everything. You don't have to wait until you get higher before you start learning. It will be too late. So you need to know your stuff, the policies and regulations very well, including those regulations that are from outside the institution. And we're talking about the policies and regulations of regulatory bodies. How many of us know the regulatory bodies we have in this country and what they do? We need to start learning about them. There are so many of them. GTEC. You also have CTVET for technical education, technical and vocational. But you have within the Ministry of Education other organs that are in charge of a number of issues that you should know. So we need to be interested in those things. 2, you are a leader. You have to be strategic. You have to have a strategic vision and a drive. Now, if you are a head of department without a focus, without a vision, then you could as well not be there. If you are occupying the office just because you want the post, I'm afraid you will not be doing any good service to the institution. So you have to have Appoint to who? I thought you were helping me. All right. So, you know, the HOD will be talking about that. Shares responsibilities. He doesn't do everything. So we are sharing. We create to share. All right. So I'm talking about, what do you call it? A good pair of listening ears. We have 2 ears. But if you are a leader, a head of department, but you are not a listening type, you want to do it alone, my brother, my sister, it will not work. So your pair of ears should be very effective. You should listen. Don't be the one to be communicating all the time. You should be able to listen and make the best of out of what you have discussed with your colleagues. So listening, pair of listening ears. But at the same time, being humble, humility is good. Humility. The dean just said it. You are equal among equals. You know, somebody will tell, look, I could have been in that seat. What makes you think that you alone qualify? No. And I have this expression. I mean, you have a lot of wounded princes. You know, when there's a stool vacant in a village, and everybody wants to occupy that stool. So you have a lot of people pretending to be princes to the stool. And when they miss out, what happens? The story, you know it. When they miss out, they will create the hell for you. So you have to know how to manage such wounded princes or wounded, no, I would say lion because I belong to the lion family. Wounded princes, you know, you have to know how to manage them. And so the best is to listen and listen carefully and properly. The next thing is to have what I call people's skills, interpersonal relations. Very good. Because if you don't have good interpersonal relations, again, you know what you are heading for. And you are dealing with colleagues. Nothing prevents you from showing a sense of humility and recognizing them also as equals. And so you need to also think of motivating. At least, a simple thank you. Oh, I'm grateful for what you have done. It will not spoil any matter. Yes. Let us be grateful. Let us be, let us influence and inspire our colleagues so that they can have confidence in us. If you are not able to inspire, that's where you will have the infighting. You have the infighting all the time, you know. And so you should be able to recognize and reward colleagues for their contributions. So if at the end of the year, you just even send me a note of gratitude. Oh, thank you very much for all that you've done to support my work in the department throughout the year. Merry Christmas. God be with you. I think the colleague, some will even frame it for posterity. Commitment to diversity and inclusion. You know, I remember one time when I was dean, some 2 colleagues walked to me and said I should be careful the way we were appointing people into a particular department. That the impression was that we were bringing people from one region, one particular region. My question was, is it the dean who appointed them to that department? Were you not sitting at the table at the A&P? And did those people not qualify? And the discussion ended. You see, so the people you are working with are competent. They have qualified. It doesn't matter where they come from. So we should live above tribal and religious politics. That's what I'm saying. Yes. And we should aim at academic excellence and competence. The last quality I'm going to talk about is high ethical standards. in the conduct of your work. You know, I have heard in my little corner that there's a particular school where some senior members are harassing the young ones, and particularly the ladies, vulnerable. And some of the ladies are recording them and sending the recordings to the vice chancellor. So the vice chancellor has called the dean of that school to investigate the matter. We should not get there at all. At all. And the university I taught in Nigeria, there was a colleague who harassed a lady, his student. And the girl kept saying, "Sir, please." In the office, the girl kept saying, "Sir, no, I don't want to do what you want me to do." He insisted. The first time, the girl pushed him away. Second time, the girl said, "Look, sir, I'm going to record." He did not stop there. He did not stop there. He went on, or went ahead. The girl recorded, and the matter came up. He was investigated and dismissed. Now, a few colleagues who knew that I was from the University of Cape Coast and from Ghana came to me. "Oh, Prof, can you arrange for this guy to have a place in Ghana?" I said, "What?" I said, "What? Am I hearing well? Can we be more serious? You think Ghana is fit for such a conduct?" I said, "No. I'm not the one to talk to any university in Ghana about this person. Let him go and find a place, maybe in his village. He can go and be farming." So these are issues of ethics I'm referring to. Or you see that a student is not really deserving of a certain score, but because of what we call in education the halo effect, because you know that student, because that student has some relations with somebody that you know, so let's massage. Or a colleague comes, you say, "Okay, fine, I know you can have what you want." Another comes and it's a different story. No, that's what I was talking about: fairness, equity, and what have you in your administration. I'm not saying I was perfect, but I'm saying that these things. Haven't we jumped? Right. We're talking about rights of a head of department. You have authority. You have been empowered to lead. So that is your right. Now, we expect you to lead properly, not to mislead. But that is your right, because nobody else, once you are in that seat, you have the letter of appointment, you have the authority. You have been given, is it the attorney of authority or something of authority? Power of attorney on behalf of the vice chancellor and on behalf of the dean. So you are there to act. You are in charge of resource allocation. Unfortunately, the resources are always very minimal. But how do you apportion the resources so that everybody gets something? But that is your duty. That's your power. Policy implementation. You have the power to implement policies. And I hear in some departments, some heads say, "Look, that policy, I'm not going to implement it." Because she has the power to implement or not to. But the vice chancellor also has the power to ask you to explain why you don't want to implement such policies. So power dynamics. Participation in governance. You are in leadership position, so certainly you represent your department and your colleagues at various committees, various administrative activities and what have you. So you have the power to participate in the institutional governance. So that is your right. If you don't delegate, nobody can take your place. See, because you are the HOD. And academic freedom, which everybody else enjoys, we say. But that is your right, that academic prerogative. You decide who to bring into the department. You decide who not to bring in, and you give justifications why Mr. or Ms. A cannot be in that department. Because you exercise that authority, that power. Right. So, let's go on. Now, you have some duties, nevertheless. I have 3 areas, so we're going to be a bit lengthy. Some of the times I will just run fast. We are looking at academic business as part of your responsibilities. You need to promote academic excellence. And you need to develop curriculum for the department. And that's why I was talking about strategic vision. What programs can you bring into the department so that the department can survive? The department can survive. If you want to behave like some departments, you just reframe the name of the department and bring in students, and you still do the same thing. You need to also empower. I haven't said anything. You need to also empower staff and students. How do you empower them? Because everything cannot be done by you. And so, but you need to challenge them to be creative, to be innovative, and to also to become effective in the academic life. So you also need to establish what I call the measurement skills in terms of mentoring and how you correct issues and people, your colleagues. You cannot just evaluate people or the work of people, the work of your colleagues, without having measuring or measurement skills. And of course, we'll be looking at, you have to design an evaluation framework to be able to assess them, And again, this goes back to the earlier comment about having a good pair of listening ears. You get information, how do you treat that information? Do you jump at it? Do you just react? Or you take what you have been told as the gospel truth? You need to investigate. You need to get the right information before you take the needed decision. Because if you are quick to react to certain issues, then you may get it all wrong. You may get it all wrong. That's why you need to be patient. You need to take your time, investigate matters before you. And when you are taking a decision, you know that you are taking the right decision. Right. So let's go. So apart from the academic business, we have administrative business, where you need to adopt a strategic process to achieve better results. You are aiming at very good results, effective results. So you need to strategize. And you need to design and develop protocols that will enable you to achieve better results. So what kind of leadership style or format do you adopt? What leadership model will you adopt? Just a bit, the up, go up. Are you going to be the balcony leader, the dancing floor leader, or the shepherd leader? All these, the balcony, when you have a balcony, you know what happens. You just go and stand there and look. You are looking forward. You are looking ahead. So the balcony, you don't really see what is happening down there. You are looking far away, but you don't see what is down there. So you will misfire. Are you the dancing floor? When you are among the people dancing, how far do you see? You are dancing. What you see is just around your circle. You don't see far. The shepherd, those of you who have never been shepherd boys or girls, you won't understand. Ask me, I'll tell you. Because the shepherd boy, there are times you are in front of the cattle or the sheep. Other times you are on the side. Some other times you are at the back. You see? So it's not all the time that you should be in front. And that's, we're talking about delegation of powers. And that brings me to the operations manager style. You know, you delegate your staff, you delegate some of your duties, your powers to your colleagues, and you make them accountable. You hold them accountable. You know, Mami Dogo will tell you that she used to do a lot of assignments on behalf of the vice chancellor, but she didn't keep the results to herself. Those of you who don't know Mami Dogo, I'm talking of Professor Dora Edubando. If she stands here, you see that she's taller than me. Okay, so we need to adopt some of those styles. But let me tell you, there's no one-size-fits-all administrative model. You have to learn, and you have to implement or improvise. Sorry, you have to improvise, and at times on the spot. So these are things that we learn, not from any book, not from any classroom, but with humility and with the preparedness to learn at all times. You design and then you develop a number of leadership models. Okay. Quality assurance. And why must an HOD be interested in quality assurance? Because that is the first duty. You must be interested in quality. Anybody knows why we should be interested in quality? I don't have an answer. Well, but we are, and that's why in the institution we've created the Directorate of Academic something. Quality assurance. And we are supposed to have a unit in every faculty and every department. Because at all levels, we want to be sure that we are doing the right thing. Let me give an example of a case. This is a case study I had in one of the leadership workshops. That in a department, called Department of English, somebody shows up with a certificate. And in that certificate, you know the American style, ABD, all but dissertation. The guy gets employed. He gets promoted despite the ABD to senior lecturer, to associate professor. Now, there's vacancy at the dean's office, not yours. And the gentleman applies, and that is where hell breaks loose. He's told he doesn't qualify. So who is to blame and why? This I want an answer, or I would like an answer. Who is to blame and why? AMP. At what level? Yes. It starts from the department. Quality assurance starts from the department in terms of the academic work. And even in terms of students that we admit, it is the department that should determine student A qualifies because she meets the requirements of our programs. You know, so the issues of quality assurance, we need to be very, very, very much keen and whatnot. Okay. Now, we are in times where, whether from the government or from somewhere, we are told to do mass. And this refers me to Mohammed Bai, his book, Massification in Higher Education. You know, we're talking about the magical triad here, where we are told to ensure that the completion rate in our departments, in our faculties, in our institution, per se, the completion rate is high. Everybody should complete. So everybody must pass. We are told that, we are faced with high instructional costs. Universities are struggling. The departments are in worse situations because the university gets small and also gives just a peanut to department. You are supposed to run with that. At the end, after 4 years, we should have zero debt graduation. Zero debt. There should be no stain. What that means is that the department should not have any problem. The faculty shouldn't have any problem with students' results. That's why I'm told at departmental or faculty exams committee meetings, we are told, can you round up this? Can you add this? The students don't know that you do a lot of massages for them. They only know you fail them. But because the head of your institution is afraid that if so many students don't make it, his institution will be in the news. So please pass everybody. How do we deal with a situation like this? And from the from second cycle, they are saying that everybody should be absorbed. Everybody should be absorbed. Basic from JHS, I don't know if I'm getting everything right. Everybody should pass to the senior high, which means that it is going to affect the tertiary level. And so we should not be surprised to have classes of over 500, in some cases 1,000. We are asked to mark and submit results within 2 weeks. All right. Financial administration. Because as a leader of the department, you need to have what we call financial intelligence. Financial intelligence. So how do you manage the limited finances that you have in the department? You have to be able to plan. Planning skills. And you have to have this risk management ability. And that's where working together as a team in the department is necessary, so that everything is clear to everybody. It doesn't look like, it's only the HOD who is keeping the lion's share to himself. And anytime we go ask for paper, we don't have paper. We don't have money. Oh, sorry, Mr. Head of Department. Some of your offices don't have sockets working. And they have to write an MEB, which may take a whole year. Meaning faculty in the Department of French will have to go to other colleagues' offices to be able to work. Sorry, I have this friend, Professor Bedu Akosa. Anytime we meet, he says, Prof, at our age, what do we have to fear? You say it as it is. They take it, they don't take it, it is their problem. Then we'll go for a glass of wine. All right. So you have to be able to manage the limited resources vis-a-vis the increased cost of education without any corresponding funding. We are basically dependent on government funds. But these funds are not even sufficient to pay employees compensation. So what do we have? And in Ghana, we don't charge tuition. We don't charge tuition. So we have to deal with all these limited resources as a department. And this, I'm referring to what we call the Ba-Mulis disease. This is a funny Indian name. So we manage departmental budget, ensuring that there is financial stability and accountability. Transparency is needed. Right. The last, which should actually be one of the most interesting components, is research and innovation. You are supposed to champion research in your department. If you are HOD and you then encourage your colleagues to attend workshops, conferences, and also publish, then it becomes a problem. They will relax, And if we do a brief census, we'll want to find out how many colleagues are from the over 10 departments that we have in the Faculty of Arts. Very few. Where are the others? What is holding them from coming to attend this workshop? You know. And so we should work vigorously to improve the research base in our department. That is what you need to do as a leader of a particular department or as a senior academic member of the department. So the senior members also have their rights, which are in tandem with those of the head of department. They have their academic freedom. They are at times invited to participate in institutional governance. Their professional development, it is their right. They have to be assisted to develop professionally. Recognition and reward and access to resources. They need to have access. All right. So, their responsibilities: teaching, research and scholarship, service, mentorship, ethical conduct, community engagement, and continuous improvement of themselves. You know. So, to conclude on this first area, which is about rights and responsibilities of heads of department and senior academic members, we want to say that we can only achieve success if we maintain and recognize these rights, knowing very well that these rights also call for some responsibilities that we need to do. So, responsibilities ensure that they contribute to the institution's mission, uphold academic standards, and foster an environment of quality learning, teaching, and growth. So this is about the first part. So broadly, the components of academic senior members' responsibilities are essential, and adequate steps must be taken to ensure a fine balance between these responsibilities, because that is how we can maximize productivity across academic staff and, of course, in the institution. Thank you for the first part. Prof Chair, what do I do?
Thank you very much, Prof. Prof, I think you can have a seat. And then, okay, so Prof will continue with the rest of the topics, and then after that, we have a few questions and answers. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Prof. Chair. Yes, as I said at the beginning, I'm giving 3 areas. I'm done with the first. So you jot down your comments, your input, your remarks, your questions, because I would prefer to take a few input from you so that I can fine-tune this for another group somewhere. I never know. The second is about mentorship. How do we mentor ourselves, and particularly the junior colleagues in the department or in the institution? So let's go. Oh, my partner. Are we okay? It's done. All right. So this too long. I don't know whether it's Power Notes or PowerPoint. At this point, it looks like Power Notes. Yes. So I'm simply saying that there are many purposes for mentoring. Why do we mentor? And this is about grooming each other, grooming somebody. It means somebody has much more experience in a particular area than another. And so the more experienced is the one that assists the less experienced to develop. In our homes, we have mentorship. You see the women mentoring their daughters. The men, if they are available, you see them trying to mentor the sons, but they fail very often because the sons will still run to the mothers, especially when they are young. But mentorship exists at all levels. In the traditional setup in which I grew up, my father usually will teach me how to farm, how to take care of animals, and all that. And since my mother had only boys following each other, 3 of us, we had to be fetching the water for her and all that. At times we would go and grind the millet on the grinding stone. But we did not forget our male roles. So mentorship exists everywhere. So in the academic setting, we have mentorship. Let's go. Mentoring in the academic settings, we're talking about the developmental partnership involving a more experienced academic and a less experienced academic. And I'm not talking about only the teaching staff leaving out the administrative staff, because they are also a part. So what are the responsibilities of a mentor? You are a mentor. What do you have to do? I know we started appointing mentors for people who are freshly appointed several years ago. How effective has that mentorship been? You know, do we actually understand our roles as mentors? Do we understand our roles as mentees? But as a mentor, you're supposed to guide and support your mentee. Provide guidance and support in all dimensions. You know, and I know if I had to, when I was visiting, I had to change mentees especially in the sciences. The mentees wrote they didn't want to continue being mentored by some professors. We had to discuss with the dean and eventually find different persons to mentor these colleagues. I know 2 of them, ladies. They are still in the system here, senior lecturers now. You know, so you need to guide, provide the sense of direction. Just imagine somebody literally blind, and you are the sighted person. What do? You have to guide this blind person to the right or appropriate destination. So your duty as a mentor is to guide. Your role, you are a role model. If your mentee cannot see in you as a role model, my sister, my brother, please, then you are not succeeding. If your mentee doesn't have the edge of coming to meet you, then there's a problem. You know, so you should be a role model, and your mentee should aim at becoming like you. He should or she should want to be like you one day, thanks to your guidance. Advocacy. You're advocating. Not for yourself alone, but for the young one that you are mentoring. You need to defend that person. You need to come to the rescue of that person. You know, but you will see very soon the mentees also have a responsibility. You need to develop the skills in that mentee. Skills needed for his or her personal growth in academia. And emotional support. It's not only about academic work. Some of us easily break down. Others have very tough skin. So you have a mentee, the person becomes more like a member of your family. That's the relationship. It's father-son relationship, mother-daughter relationship, or father-daughter relationship. So it should not go beyond lover relationship. No. The mentee is there for your support and guidance. And so the mentee has some emotional problems. You should be able to track those challenges and help him or her to come out of those emotional. It could be a problem with a friend, with a boyfriend, with a girlfriend. It could be a family problem. It could be anything. How do you provide counseling to that person? That's what I'm talking about. You're fostering the mentee's career advancement. So helping him to advance in the area by advising him on promotion requirements. I don't know how many of us start talking to our mentees as to what he or she needs to do to go beyond lectureship. You know, there should be that interaction. Promotion requirements, time allocation across professional activities. You know, a lot of us don't know how to manage our time. Time management. And that should be part of our mentorship or mentoring. The person should be guided as to how to manage. At every point in time, the mentee should be doing something. And you should be interested in what the mentee is doing. Right. Advising on and research and all that. Teaching. I think in our mentorship system, we are supposed to sit in the lectures of our mentee. How many of us know our mentee's timetable? How many of us have taken the trouble to sit through the mentee's lectures and guide? You know. And then how many mentees have accepted that their mentors sit in their lectures? That's where the problem is. So they will hide the timetable from you. And when you manage to get a timetable, they will keep dodging you, you know. Oh, today the students are not ready. Today we are going to do this. But sir, if... and if you sneak in when he or she is teaching, then anger starts. Anger starts. You see, because probably there isn't much, I don't know how to put it. The students have a saying, they don't get on, they don't gel. They don't gel, thank you. So, on committee system, I know the university, for that matter, operates a bicameral system. Bicameral system in the sense we have the academic board and we have council. And these organs, these bodies are very essential in the running of the institution. So the mentees should begin learning about these bicameral bodies in the university. And it should be through the mentor. University and college policies and practices. So if you, the HOD, you know the policies and regulations very well, you should be able to also get your mentee to understand them. Right. We continue. Strategies for effective teaching and learning. Classroom instruction and provide constructive feedback. Review draft proposals, manuscripts for publications, and provide targeted expertise on methodology and theory. You know, direct mentee to relevant funding opportunities and appropriate peer-reviewed journals. You know, there's a lot in the plate of the mentor. A lot. So it means that you should first be conversant with funding opportunities so that you can direct your mentee to go look for those possibilities. And also now we are talking about impact journals. Your mentee should know and should understand that he or she is supposed to publish in such impact journals. How does he access them? That is your wahala. resources and opportunities and communicate these to the mentee. That is the communication, constant communication with your mentee. All right. The mentee, what does he have to do? Proactive engagement. You don't sit back. Don't sit and wait for your mentor to invite you. Please, you have to be proactive. Try and meet your mentor. And of course, meet other mentors, other senior members in the faculty who can serve as mentors. Let me give my own example. At the time I started as a young lecturer, we didn't have the mentoring system. And I know in my department I was a bad boy. I wasn't very much liked. But fortunately, some other senior professors in the faculty, and I can mention names, in the Department of History, Professor Amenume, Reverend Professor Gaba, Department of Religion and Human Values of blessed memory, Professor Beduado, Department of Classics and Philosophy of blessed memory. 3 professors who would call me and talk to me about academic work and academic development. You see, but because I reached out to them, they availed themselves when they realized that I was prepared to learn. My story with these two, Professor Gaba and Professor Beduado, I will tell it one other day. When I came as a student, the 2 of them fought over me. But Gaba won. And goal setting and progress monitoring. You set goals for yourself as a mentee. And you should design a process yourself to monitor your own progress. You have entered as a lecturer in year 1. By year 2, where do you want to be and what do you want to be? Year 3, how many articles do you want to have? You see, you should set yourselves some targets or some objectives, some goals. Respect and professionalism. And that's where I was referring to the 2 people not gelling. If you don't respect your mentor, and if you don't act professionally as a mentor, what will he do? Of course, she will also sit back and say, this young man doesn't respect me, so why should I waste my time? So you don't learn. Mind you, she has much more experience. She has much more, should I say, authority or power, so she will not be helping you. Just be humble, open up, and share your challenges with your mentor. Ethical conduct, linked to the top one, conduct yourself ethically. Don't start sending small notes to the small girls. Please. Please don't. Let them respect you. If you start playing around with your own student, they will not respect you. They will not. You see, and so if you pretend that you are a professor in the department, that's the start of lying. If you go parading yourself as a senior member when you are just a TA or a national service, my brother, you have already started a bad life. Be as truthful as you are and be honest to God and man. All right, what are the benefits? Good mentor-mentee relationship and enhanced career development for both. For both, because the mentor enhances his career development. The mentee is brought up in the career. Increased productivity and research output for both. If the mentor is able to bring the mentee to publish, why not? And I'm happy in my department. I'm not saying I was a good mentor, but at least my mentees were very good and very respectful. So I published a number of papers with them. Personal growth and confidence for both of them. network expansion. As I started earlier by saying that the mentor has much more experience. Her network cycle is much more wide, is wider than you, the mentees, because you are just starting. He has been there, and because he, they are the same. So you have to be interested in getting closer to your mentor so that your network cycle would also expand, right? And we're talking about mutual learning. We learn from each other. And at this stage, as an old boy, in fact, I learn a lot from my graduate students. You know, I will not say that I have encapsulated all the knowledge, even in my discipline. No, I still learn. I still make myself a student. So just as I share some thoughts with my students, they also share a lot because they are the young ones and they go on, surfing, they go looking into the web and site and all that, and they get the latest information in the area. So all I need to do is to guide them, give them tasks, and we share in the lecture room. So that is what I'm talking about, learning. And my GP, that's my medical thing, in Accra, Professor Yamua, he's 83 now. And he tells me anytime I go to see him, say, Prof, you see, I'm happy to still remain in academia. I said, Prof, why? You know, when I still teach at Kolibu, and I'm getting to learn a lot from the students, the medical students. I said, but don't you see those who are not in academia, they die very fast. Because they are just there, they are idle. They don't exchange with anybody. I don't know, this is for the researchers to investigate. Yes. So it's also for the institutional benefit. If you learn, if you grow, if you develop, the institution stands to gain, you know, and all of us gain. So how do we identify the strengths, weaknesses, and biases? So before we engage as a mentor or mentee in our relationship, we should identify our strengths, our weaknesses, and our biases. You know, every human being has some strength. Every human being has areas of weakness. Every human being has some biases. And especially in this country where we are heavily prejudiced, oh, this person is from that region. He must be of this mentality, mindset. His character must be this. I need to be very careful of him, you know. And so many. We have a lot of biases against each other. That should be minimized. And we should know where and how we stand before we engage. Mentors need to be sensitive to the mentee's perspective. We also need to give some credit or credence to our mentees. We need to understand them. What do they want? How do they want that? Where do they want to be? We need to understand them. And think of mentors you have had. Why were they or why are they great or troublesome? If you had a troublesome mentor, you should begin to ask yourself. Now you also have a mentee. Why were my mentors troublesome or why were they great? Something would have made them what they were or what they are. And how can you address your weaknesses or your biases and be the best mentor or mentee possible? These are questions we all need to ask ourselves and provide answers. So building a long-lasting mentor-mentee relationship, as I said, is a kind of a family life. You are engaged in that life for a long period. It's not as soon as you write the report on your mentee, it is finished. The mentorship never ends. Mentorship continues. Even after you've submitted your report for renewal, or what is the first one? The first step is not renewal. Confirmation. Confirmation. No. That is the time you now have to start mentoring properly. And I'm talking about emotional intelligence, a passionate appeal, because a lot of us suffer from this emotional intelligence, and so we need to be guided by the two I's and the two PP's: intellectual, interpersonal, personal, and practical skills. We need to be guided by these principles. And so all these skills enhance the acquisition of social skills, which subsequently aid in valuing each other in the building of long-lasting mentor-mentee relationships. We need to respect each other, we need to value each other, and we need to give due recognition to each other. And we need to pat ourselves on the back if we have worked very well as mentor and mentee. I've skipped a lot of things, but mentoring in academic settings is mutually beneficial to both mentor and mentees, and also beneficial to the institution. But all that will require some commitment. Commitment to the duty that we have been assigned, or the duty that we have assigned ourselves. And so if we have succeeded in all that, we should thank ourselves for having done a good job. So the rest you can have for yourself. So with the permission of the chair, I'll just end the last bit. Once I'm still on my feet. The last bit, which is on distribution of workload. Oh, sure. Okay, now and even the text. Yes, that would be great. Nice. Very detailed. I have the text. Boss, are you ready? All right. So this is the last area. So pardon me, have patience for me. There was this track that I was following somewhere in the eastern region some years ago, and at the back of the track was written in Fanti or Chi or whatever, Abutre. And so in front, you drove past this track and you turned and you read sympathy. Abutre. So be patient with him because he's a slow driver. He's a slow goer. You are fast. Have patience. When you get to the place that you can overtake, then you go. Then when you turn around, you say, look, have sympathy on me. I'm even doing my best. I'm doing my best with this truck. If you were the one, Ankayawa, you will not even get to where I am. So have Abutre for me because and the dean called me. Was it Thursday or last week? Thursday, Wednesday. Yes. And well, we talked, and I said this is heavily loaded. He thought, oh, just come and talk about your experience and whatnot. So if you think it is heavily loaded. Please, abotre. And so at the end, you sympathize with me. The fact that even last night, I went to bed at 1 a.m. to get these things done. And this morning, my vice dean and HOD, he saw me, my assistant messed me up. That's how come we started late. Anyway, but that is my problem. You know, there are these stories all over. The guy who impregnated his house help. Then the wife said, oh, but people in the neighborhood, they are talking about what? That our house help is pregnant. Oh, that's their problem. But do you know who did it? That's that person's problem. But everywhere, it's known that it is you. Well, that is now my problem. Okay, let's go. Right. Distribution of work. The HOD has a responsibility to assign work, to assign duties, to assign activities to colleagues in the department and in the faculty. Because he cannot do it alone. It's a shared responsibility. So you will share the load, you will share the work, so that you can maximize the skills of every person. You can maximize the experience of every colleague in the department or in the faculty. And that's why the dean will invite a colleague, maybe an HOD, and ask him to chair a committee on the review of one program or one of the courses, or to go and represent him somewhere. Right. So, this is why it is important. As I said, you minimize risk in the institution. If you are doing it all alone, you multiply the risk involved. Increases productivity, stress is reduced. You can imagine when you are heavily loaded, you have barely finished with this work, another one is piled up, you have this to look at, and you are stressed. And when you are so much stressed, you know the end result. I cannot say, it's the hospital people who can talk. So we have to apportion the workload. It makes the most of availability. It means that it gives you opportunity to still avail yourselves for other duties and even for rest, to find time to rest, and also do further research to impact your teaching. Allows you to prioritize activities and keeps the work moving forward. You don't have delays. You don't have pile-ups, you know. I know my HOD had the tough time getting colleagues to submit their results for discussion. And colleagues kept complaining that they had so many things to do at the same time. They were given a short period to mark and enter results, and so they were pleading for more time. Meanwhile, there was pressure on the head of the vice dean, who also put pressure on his colleagues in the department. So stress and stress levels will certainly increase. We delegate responsibilities when we distribute the workload. You know, we distribute, and then so therefore we delegate some of the powers to others so that work can be productive. We also have to engage the junior colleagues, junior academics, as a way of mentoring them, as a way of letting them take responsibility of some of the activities in the department or in the faculty. And it's a way of training them in leadership skills. When we engage them, when we assign them responsibilities. Oh yeah. All right. What happens? We're talking of stress levels. When we overload people, not only young ones, if you overload the old boy, for example, you are killing him softly. We have negative impact on research and teaching. We are no more effective if we are overloaded at all. Quality of teaching, quality of research, quality of everything goes down. We are not effective because we are overstressed. Then we have burnout and job dissatisfaction. That's where you have people beginning to complain. I'm tired. No, this work is too much for me. Why? Am I the only one? Yet I'm killing myself. But this is a sacrificial job. Nobody cares. Nobody thinks of me. So there isn't joy in doing what you have been asked to do. And so we need to be very careful. And that's where the person may disengage herself from all activities in the department and become a troubleshooter. Now, there's this one, the proverbial boxers, you see. And those of you who read Animal Farm, there was this donkey called the boxer. The boxer. He was doing all the, in fact, never tired. He was working. Whereas the pigs and others were relaxing. George Orwell. So, treating young academics as workhorses. You know, you're killing them softly. And then we need to be careful. We don't overload ourselves. I know the School of Business, a lot of the lecturers are complaining. And also in economics and some programs in social sciences. They have so many students. And they have been thinking whether to break the classes into smaller groups. And there's a policy. When you have over 100, you divide the class into 2 groups, 3 groups. Some of our colleagues have this, they will break all right. They are assigned lecture halls, but they go back and bring everybody together and start complaining. You know, so, all right. Role of a good HOD, senior academics, we should be thinking of a balanced workload allocation. There should be equity there. Don't overload others and leave others to sleep, whether they are present or absent. Once they are still on the payroll of the university, they must be engaged and engaged appropriately. So otherwise, others who are watching will get unhappy and there will be some dissension. And if you are not careful, they will want to bring you down tomorrow. And when that happens, you will have camps being created. You have camps being created. So we need to support and mentor at the same time. The professional development opportunities are key. Advocacy and sponsorship very key. And creating a supportive environment for teaching and learning. And career path clarity. We must be clear as to how you want your colleagues to develop, how you want them to be. Do you want them to be like you, or you want them to stay at bay while you alone, you are climbing and climbing and climbing? No. You should bring others on board. Strategies in work allocation. I'm talking about flexibility. Flexibility, just implement or introduce flexible workload models. I don't know how those are, but you have to design something that makes everybody happy. It could be through surveys. Find out from people, your colleagues, how do you want or how do they want allocations to be done? Of course, I know in departments it is done per the expertise of colleagues. But where some colleagues are overloaded, can we find a way of lessening their burden so they can engage themselves in other things. Yeah, let's go. Inclusive decision making, and that's what I was referring to. Your colleagues have to be involved in timetable allocation, in work allocation, and whatnot. The HOD doesn't sit somewhere and apportions the workload. It must be a collective business. You must engage your colleagues so that everybody is satisfied that this is how we apportion the work. Well, I know colleagues will be saying, oh, but what this man is saying, he's only being idealistic. We talk of ideals to be able to talk about the realities. Yes. So I'm hoping that my colleague heads of department will at least take some of the issues on board and discuss further. Now, job sharing and task rotation. You don't have one person doing the same thing over and over. We must rotate. We must share the duties and tasks to favor everybody. That's what I mean. All right, adaptive professional development. You tailor also professional development programs to address the specific needs and challenges identified by members. Fine, you have shared the task, but this colleague is interested in focusing on this area or that area. We look at that colleague's needs, interests, and motivations, and assist that colleague to develop as it were. Let's go. Comprehensive evaluation frameworks. That's where it may be difficult, but I'm thinking that we should, as a team in a department, look at how we evaluate the work that we do and all that. I know at the end of the year, there are always forms circulated, or when a colleague is applying for promotion, the HOD is asked to write a confidential report. Why can't we collectively look at frameworks that should assist us to evaluate and assess our own work in the department, and especially the duties that we have assigned ourselves? We should do that to be able to develop as a department. And so how to optimize work distribution? You have a plan. You don't work in a vacuum. You clarify the roles that each and everyone will have to play. And you set targets. You should have some objectives that everybody should work towards. You streamline team workflow. You don't just allow people to be doing things that they want or how they want it. You communicate with your colleagues. You must communicate with them. That means you must be in constant touch with your colleagues, finding out how they are doing the work, the challenges they are meeting, and how you can help them to understand better the tasks you have apportioned to them. Actively involved, that is it. And then also showing empathy. If I've been working very hard in the department and I have a problem, you don't show any empathy. You don't look concerned. How can I become encouraged to continue to work to kill myself for you? I must feel appreciated. And I must feel that, yes, my boss supports me in times of difficulty. There's a driver in my village. He's driving somebody's tipper truck in Goso area. He lost an auntie in the house. I wanted to go for the funeral. And the boss said, no, you were in the village for a funeral 2 weeks ago. You can't go. Then the driver said, you know what? This is your truck. These are the keys. Take them. I'm going away. The man had to release him to go, not sacking him, but he asked him to go for the funeral. So we should appreciate each other and each other's role. showing empathy. Okay, principles that underpin successful work distribution. We're talking of fairness. I think I've already mentioned this. We must be fair in the distribution of the workload. Fairness is the key word. We must achieve a balanced and appropriate workload distribution. That's still about fairness and equity. We must be open, transparent, and clear in the way and manner we distribute. Let everybody know how the work has been distributed, how the work has been assigned to each and every member of the department. You tell me it's somehow difficult, but if you want to practice it, you can do it. And we should be thinking of the health and well-being of your members. The other day I heard the parliamentarians complaining about their own health with my good friend Afenyo Markin talking about his own health. But we should also be concerned about our health and our well-being. In other words, we should be interested in our own welfare. And we should be flexible in the way we assign duties. And in all this, we are here because of students. If we didn't have students, we wouldn't be here. So every activity should be geared towards the student's interest, student-centered approach. And so if all that is done, or if almost all that is done, we should be heading towards an effective work distribution, distribution of work with understanding from every member of the department, and we should all be contributing collectively to the development of the institution. And everybody, junior, senior, should be happy in doing the work and contributing with the motivation that comes from the leader of the department. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. And thank you very much. And that is where the sympathy comes in.
Thank you very much, Prof. Wow. Prof, we are sorry for overloading you. This work distribution is lopsided. Sorry about that. Thank you. Okay. Oh, thank you so much. We gave Prof the 3 topics, not thinking they were so loaded like this. So, Prof, thank you once again. Colleagues, at this stage, I think we open the floor for a few questions and answers, and then we get into the next session, or contribution suggestions. Professor.
Thank you, Prof. Chair. Prof, honestly, I must say, I'm very much enthused about the insightful presentation you've just done. Very, very insightful. Mine is a suggestion on the mentor-mentee relationship. Usually, I think the report comes out at the end of the year. I'm suggesting that to resolve the issue where either the mentor or the mentee will say, I wouldn't want to continue, I'm suggesting that at least halfway, at the 6 months, there can be something like progress report sent to either the head of department or the HR, so that if there is a problem, that can be resolved instantly, instead of waiting 8 months into the time. Then the mentor will write that he's continuing his relationship with his mentee. This is what I want to add. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And Prof, also on the same issue of mentor-mentee, when you were speaking, I was battling to recollect who my mentor was when I was appointed in 2011 as assistant lecturer. Then, at the end, I remembered who the person was. Maybe I forgot because in all the period of mentorship, I never had any interaction with the one. I mean, the person didn't even come to find how I was faring and whether I had some challenges. Probably it could be because the one appointed was really not in my area of expertise. I mean, he was in some expertise and I was in other area, and so I'm sure he felt that having seen me as a TA, he thought maybe I was okay and he didn't need to come and disturb me. So my point is, who should be a mentor? Should the person necessarily be in your area of expertise, or any senior professor in the department can be appointed regardless of whether he or she understands what you are supposed to be doing or teaching as a lecturer? Thank you.
I have one comment and one question. The comment first has to do with sharing of workload. My own experience is that it appears to me that over the past 14 or 15 years I've been here, a few people have carried the heaviest loads within the faculty. I recall at one point in time at a faculty meeting, there was a committee supposed to be set up and my name was mentioned and I protested. And I said, please, I can't take this anymore. I'm doing too much. And then the very honorable Professor Osu Anza said, my friend, don't you know that when you want work to be done quickly and effectively, you give it to the busiest person? I have never forgotten those words. And instead of getting angry, I actually laughed at it and decided to accept the job. But I think that beyond the department, the faculty itself, the work needs to be shared. For me, it doesn't make too much sense when one person holds a particular responsibility for 8 years, when there are others who could also help. It doesn't make sense when a person holds a particular position for 10 years. And it's as if it's that person alone that is qualified to do the job. And that's not right. Every single faculty member is qualified. And so I think that we should look at that properly so that we all can have equal time to work on our papers. Because AMP doesn't consider how much community service you do. That's unfortunate. And I have discussed that with my dean, and he knows my position on that. So we need to rethink this sharing of duties. Professor Edu Bwando may recall one evening when I came to her office and almost quarreled with her because of workload. Yeah. Because at that point in time, most people don't know, I was teaching 36 credits a week. Yes. And I was still on several committees of the faculty. I mean, what do I have for myself? I can't even rest. You know, Professor Kuupole talked about you need to have rest. I did not have rest. You know, because apart from the teaching, usually we count the credit hours of teaching. 3 credits, 2 credits. But we fail to count the number of hours we spend preparing. We fail to count the number of hours we spend marking and entering scores. All those are credit hours. Okay, so Dean, all right. My other question has to do with leadership. Often we put people in positions because of their academic qualifications. And the presentation of Professor today has revealed that academic qualifications alone are not enough for one to be a leader. So how can we ensure that when we appoint people to positions, because they are academically qualified, that they also have the necessary human qualifications to handle those positions? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Chair. My name is Lina Unaziaku, Department of English. Thank you very much, Professor Chair. And then thank you so much to Professor for teaching us. Because for me, I didn't know anything about mentorship and the mentees' roles. And it looks like people who assign this kind of mentors to mentees, and then the mentees assigned to the mentors, are not even aware of what they are supposed to do. Because as a lot of people have said already, when I was a mentee to somebody, I didn't know what I benefited from that mentor. And so there have been a lot of things that have been told us this morning. So I would suggest that when you are assigned to somebody, or somebody is assigned to you as a mentee to you, the mentor should know his roles or her roles, and then the mentee should also know that these are things that I'm expected to do, and then these are things that I'm expected to receive from my mentor. So that when they are not performing their role, you have a responsibility. You know what you have to take from the person, so you can approach the person, and then that can be more effective. But what I also want to find out is the mentors, do they have any allowance for that? Because all of these that have been mentioned, if you have to be doing this for somebody, then it should be remunerated. Thank you.
Okay, so you ask Prof. First of all, question of comment.
Right. Mamidogo, you will have the opportunity. I'm here for you. Right. I thank the colleagues for the comment. Very well noted. On the last one, certainly I had also listed the mentee's responsibilities, but for want of time, I did not. But I have them in the write-up. I have a whole text on each of them. But certainly I do agree with you. There's a problem with our mentoring system. I was even of the view that somebody being employed freshly, if the person knows people in the system, should identify his or her mentor. It should not be that we sit at A&P and ask the head of department, oh, who would you appoint as mentor for this person? Or the dean. No. The mentee should also have a say, in my view. And then, when the person is appointed, assigned to a mentor, the person should be informed of his or her duties. So it is clearly stated in a write-up to the mentee. These are your responsibilities. These are the responsibilities of the mentor. Right. So I think it's not too late to start the talking, and the powers that be may have to take it up, and so that we review the mentoring system. It's not working properly. And that's how can we end up with conflicts between mentor and mentee. Yes. So we should start talking about that. But certainly the mentee has a role. The mentor has a role vis-a-vis the mentee. And that should be clearly spelled out. And if if it is possible, it should the mentee should have a say in who he should accept as a mentor. In some institutions, even the students choose their supervisor. Here we assign supervisors to students. You know, I remember where I studied, I had a say in the supervisors who were interested in my work. You know, you submit a proposal and lecturers express their interest in your topic. And you have a say in who you take as your main supervisor. Others come in because they are interested in the topic. Right. So we should be talking about those things. Yes. I know my brother was referring to the human qualification. Very often we look at the academic qualification. But the problem is that how do we train people even for leadership positions? How do we train them? You should not wait, or we should not wait until somebody becomes head of department, then we start sending him or organizing workshops. It must start from day one. The social interventions, emotional interventions, academic and professional interventions. It's difficult once we continue having policies focusing on only the academic or professional qualification. Oh, this person is a professor, and so he becomes HOD. It's good. In a way, it encourages others to also come up. But where we think that, and that's the prerogative of the appointing person, if he is not dragged to court, or if he doesn't receive a long letter asking why he should not be the one appointed, you know. And that's why there's also a provision that when the professor that is the only one and has gone through, he stays out, and somebody who is a senior lecturer also comes in. Yes, and I think the human factor is something that is difficult to deal with, and it is for all of us to now start cultivating and developing the human qualification. So when we are entrusted with work, we will not display only the academic qualification, but both. Now, who should be a mentor? Should a mentor be from the department or no? Area of expertise, I would say yes, for the professional development and academic development of the mentee. And for both of them to develop together is necessary. But in the event where we don't have somebody in the department with the same expertise, that's why we have what we call analogous or cognate department. We should be thinking about that. We have cognate departments. It doesn't matter, because at the College of Education Studies, they have people also in religion and moral education. Can we get somebody from over there to mentor you? In the Center for African and International Studies, I don't know if the name has changed. We have, I've been out of touch for almost 8 years now. So we still have people who have expertise in religion. Whether it is your area, but at least we should have somebody who has an analogous expertise and who can assist. And you work together, you develop together. You know, I think that is the way to go. And so I agree, yes, sharing the workload, we need to ensure that at least everybody is engaged so that the faculty develops, but at the same pace. If we have some working and others are sleeping, certainly as dean, who will be looking for results, what will he do? He will come to the one who is hardworking because he's looking for results. What you should be talking about is some little motivation after you've submitted the work. Okay? But everybody, when you get there as dean, you will see. I'm not cursing, but you never know. But you want results. You want to achieve results, and very quickly. So you'll be looking for the most active, expecting that those who are watching on will no longer continue to sit on the fence, but they will be part of the game. I don't know if I've gone through. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm still available. Sorry? Are mentors paid? For now, no. For now, no. It's part of community service. They will tell you that there isn't money to pay mentors. I don't know if in other institutions they are paid. I don't know, but my brother, talking about workload or people having so many positions or keeping one position for a long period. As an ordinary lecturer, I had to write a memo to academic board because I was unhappy that somebody could be head of department, dean, and pro-VC. So the person will write a letter as head of department to the VC through the dean, probably through the pro-VC. You see, and there are cases like that. I think my own mentor in the Department of French was head of department, dean, and pro-VC. I know somebody in the sciences who is now a politician who was head of department, coordinator for a center, LAFOC, dean, and then pro-VC. So 4. How effective can you be? Now, some of us had to talk and talk loud until one day I just picked my pen and paper and wrote a memo. And it was accepted. That's how come, as dean, he cannot have another position somewhere. Yes. I didn't mind if I was affected. But it was to be for fairness. All right. So, Lina, mentors are not paid. Well, you are talking to God through the wind. The dean has heard. So, are we taking? I think we'll be done.
My name is D.D Kuupole. I'm in the Department of English. Prof, my Vice Chancellor, thank you very much for doing this. I think it's going to benefit especially those who are not yet heads of department, those who are not dean yet, because what you said goes beyond even head of department. If you are a dean, if you are a provost, you must walk through these steps too. So thank you. And for those of us who have gone through the steps, we are being reminded because we are still in the system. So we are being reminded, and thank you very much. I would want to add that Prof has spoken a lot about the mentors that you are assigned by the university. But you can also look for mentors yourself. You can also look for mentors yourself, apart from the one assigned to you. Because the one assigned to you, as soon as the person finishes and then writes the report, sometimes you may not find the person again. But the one that you find yourself, as Prof said, role models, you can be with the person for the rest of your time in your career. So I think Prof is encouraging. Remember what he said, that at that time we didn't have mentors, no, assigned mentors. I didn't even have an assigned mentor. But he looked for a mentor or mentors, and he mentioned 3 of them. And as a young person coming up, you can also do the same, because it's very, very important. At my age, I still have mentors who are mentoring me in different areas. It may not be my academic work, but they are mentoring me in different areas of life. So mentoring is very, very important. And I thank Prof that he has drawn a lot of attention to this, especially for those of you who are coming up, not yet heads of department, but aspiring to be very soon. So, Prof, thank you very, very much for doing this for all of us.
Thank you very much for the contribution.
Thank you very much. And let me say my official mentor was supposed to be Professor Usuansa. Then when he was appointed, Professor Dubando came in and said, Dora, take him. I cannot do it. So, in a way, semi-officially, Professor Dubando became my mentor. So, and we've been working up to today. These topics came up in the course of our AMP and board meetings, because sometimes we are looking at documents. There are specific areas that they want to see what you have done. For example, mentoring. They will ask a question about your official mentoring role. But if the person has not been assigned any mentee, how do they get that? And I remember the last AMP at the professorial level, it came up. So some of these topics that we chose, and Prof, we are sorry that we loaded it like this, but these topics came up as a result of the interactions we've been having over the period. So we will continue to do these things. Of course, when you talk about mentor-mentee, Professor Usuansa tells us a story. And he was teaching us and says sometimes when you go to some places and everybody is saying the wrong thing, say it too. It doesn't matter whether you know or not. That there was this workshop where chief executive officers and managers were talking about mentoring. And then they were talking about mentor-mentee relationships. And then the mentee, they said, those who spoke first, everybody said mentoree. But Professor also answered the English language scholar. Everybody knew that he was a professor of English. He knew that it wasn't mentoree, but actually it was mentee. But looking at all these guys, and he realized that if he said the right thing, they would feel bad. So the professor of English also took the mic and said, mentoree. So sometimes when you get to places and people are saying the wrong thing, please, you join them. Okay. Prof, thank you so much. And as I said, even sitting here as the dean, I didn't know that these topics were so loaded in terms of the areas to cover. We thought that they were very simple topics, so you can understand. And we have learned a lot. As Prof said, we did this at this time because we think that everybody, not only HODs, must know these things, all of us, so that we know what we have to do. And please, all of us, let us get copies of this application form for promotion. And let's look at the sub-areas and see whether we can provide the necessary information when they ask. Because sometimes it gets there, and then people are writing nail. The information is required, but you write the nail. And because, honestly, you've not been given any job. So, for example, and I remember I asked Prof during the meeting. So, they say official mentoring role. You have not assigned a person any a mentor. So, in this case, how do they do that? So it was like, okay, the HODs, can we even begin to do our own, plan our own thing at our department so that we give everybody some form of mentoring or mentee? If the person is a lecturer, they can be assisting the postgraduate students along the track so that everybody can get something to do. So let's take these things very seriously, so that at least we can also prepare ourselves for the next thing. And Prof, when you mentioned research and funding and all that, that's something that hit me. And in fact, those colleagues we've been interacting with, something I've been mentioning all the time is funding, grants. And we have set up a committee that is preparing something that they've delayed, but today we will talk about that. And Prof, if we are not careful going forward, those of us in the arts will find it very difficult to become even vice chancellors or provices. Because these days, when you attend an interview, they are asking about grants you've won. And they have portions for all these things. So if you have never won any grants, you are going to find it very difficult to become a vice chancellor. And so if you are not, that's why we have always said that those of us in the arts are becoming endangered species. So this is something we must take seriously. You may have all the other qualities, but because of your inability to get grants, funding from, so they'll say, what is your contribution? And those of us in the social sciences, especially health, environment, energy, they are winning grants. Some are bringing in 4 million Ghana cedis, 5 million Ghana cedis, 10 million. What is yours? So they will ask you a question. Now the universities may, apart from the subsidy that the government brings, the main source of funding higher education is grants. You've not won any grants before. So how do we even put you there so you can lead the trip? But of course, my argument is that those who are writing to get the grants, let them be there. Don't change their position. Because the moment you change their position and become vice chancellor, they don't publish, they don't write grants again. They don't get it. So it reduces. So all these arguments are going to, but we need to do that. So Prof, we've set up a special committee that is looking at this. And it is something we are on. We will make sure that at least by the end of next year, we would have at least officially as a faculty. And we are looking at the topics and the areas so that when we get an application, we just look for colleagues in the faculty, form a team, and then we can put in the application. That's what we are trying to do. If we don't do it, we will be lagging behind. And colleagues are making a lot of money elsewhere, but we don't seem to care. But of course, it's difficult getting grants in our area. So it is something we need to look at so closely as to how we can also do something in terms of winning grants and what have you. So Prof, thank you very much. We will continue to seek your wise counsel so that we can run the faculty and develop it the way we want. Thank you very much, colleagues, and thank you, everybody.
All right.
Yes, so at this stage, okay.
No, at this stage, I will also want to register my profound appreciation for making me useful. I've been telling colleagues that I am very much underemployed, but you have made me fully employed. And as this saying goes, you see, there were some neighbors, one a carpenter, one just an ordinary public servant. The public servant's child died. He didn't have money immediately to buy a coffin. So he went to the neighbor carpenter who provided a coffin. After burial and everything, he went to ask for the cost of the coffin. Oh, don't worry. This one, I'm only giving it to you just to support you. It's only that your children are not dying. Otherwise, you always have a coffin. But it's just because you don't have many activities, I would always be there. So thank you very much, Prof. Dean, and then other colleagues. Thank you. Thank you.
So maybe at this stage you have about 20 minutes or 15 minutes break so that they call it the awareness break these days, or health break, so that we will come back for the next session and then we can leave earlier. Thank you. Some cocktail interaction. So, hello colleagues, members and friends of the Faculty of Arts. It is my pleasure to invite you to the reopening of our conference room on Wednesday, 22nd May 2024. We have refurbished the conference room and we are going to reopen it for use. Colleagues, as we said when we were campaigning for the position of the Dean, I came along with this flyer in which I stated my mission and vision. I have about 14 items there, if you remember. And on Wednesday, we are going to take stock of all that we have done, what we said we were coming to do, what we have done so far, and then take suggestions from colleagues as to how we can improve upon our performance for the development of our faculty. It is time for us to take stock of our leadership so far. We want to give account of our stewardship so that colleagues can have the opportunity to ask questions, to make inputs, to give suggestions as to how we can improve upon the faculty, how to move the faculty forward. So on Wednesday, I'm inviting everybody in the faculty to attend this reopening of the conference room. I'm also taking opportunity to say thank you to everybody for putting me here as a dean of the faculty. I'm very grateful. I still want us to always work together as we've been doing all this while. For the past 2 years, of course, July will be the end of the second year of my term. We've worked together as a group. We've worked together as a faculty. I want us to continue. And to continue on that score, it means we need to share ideas. And on Wednesday, that's exactly what we're going to do. There will be some cocktail interaction. So I entreat you to attend the program. Thank you very much and have a blessed day.